From Bosstrack, it's Her HypeSquad, a show about amazing women who've made incredible strides as leaders in their industry. They're here to support you and your leadership growth, to encourage you and hype you up as part of your Hype Squad. Hi everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Her Hype Squad with Bosstrack. I'm your host, Michelle Harris. In this conversation, I talk with Kristin Gutierrez, VP of Sales for United Language Group. Kristin and I talk about how to motivate your team, from understanding what motivates your team to executing on that knowledge. We talk about how to motivate burned out and bored team members and how to engage and team build when your team is working remote. There's a lot of actionable information in this conversation. But before we get into the conversation, let me give you a little bit of background on Kristin. Kristin Gutierrez is a highly accomplished Vice President of Sales at United Language Group with over 17 years experience selling in the localization industry. She won a Stevie Award in 2023 on thought leadership for her outcomes-based framework to drive complex sales. Throughout her career, Kristin has demonstrated a keen ability to identify and capitalize on new business opportunities, and she has a talent for building and nurturing long-term relationships with clients. She has a proven track record of success in developing and implementing sales strategies. In addition, she has a passion for mentoring and developing her team members, which has resulted in a high retention rate and driving revenue growth. Kristin holds a BA in Communications from St. Mary's College, Notre Dame, and resides in Southern California with her husband and two small kids, Gibson and Jack. You can connect with Kristin on LinkedIn to learn more about her experience and how she can help you achieve your business goals. So without further delay, I give you my conversation with Kristin Gutierrez. Well, thank you, Kristin, for joining us on Her Hype Squad with Bosstrack. We're excited to have you on, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion about motivating your teams. I'd love for you to maybe give the audience a little background on you. We did provide your bio up front, but if there's anything you want to provide in your own words, I'd love for you to share.
Sure. Thank you so much, Michelle, for having me. And I'm excited to be with your audience today. The role I identify most with right now is mentor. That's because I'm mentoring my team and also others. But I am a vice president of sales. I am a volunteer in our industry. I am a speaker and a podcast contributor. I'm a wife and a mom. I am a bunco enthusiast. And what truly keeps me up at night is up-leveling my own skills around outcomes-based leadership and inspiring or mentoring others to find the confidence needed to do a better job and to up-level their skills. Yeah, that's what I work on right now.
I love that. And I have never played bunco.
So fun. Well, side note, it's a bunch of ladies drinking wine or whatever and like rolling dice, but it is a monthly group I'm in and it's super fun.
I mean, that sounds good to me. So I'm going to have to find a group. Well, so thank you. I appreciate all of that. And it sounds like a lot, but it sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. And I'd love for you to share, if you don't mind, a little bit about your leadership experience in your sales, in your corporate sales job.
Cool. Yes, for sure. And all in, it's about 10 years over the last 18. Early on in my career, for about 2.5 years, I was the manager of a global inside sales team. So I took a job just being an individual contributor inside sales, often now called business development reps. And that got me promoted into leading a local US-based team and then traveling internationally more than once a quarter at a very young age. I know my parents are like, what do you do for work? So that was really fun. I helped to establish processes and best practices and really start to create and hone and refine my leadership abilities. But I came away from that to be an individual contributor for many years. And then my next true leadership role was in the volunteer organization Women in Localization that I am part of. And for more than 3 years, I ran really large programs within the organization, which is a nonprofit, to drive forward the objectives and the mission of their business. And currently, like I said, I am a vice president of sales, and that's been for 2 years now.
Right. And just to kind of give some context, I know if often in sales, you maybe have been dealing with remote teams long before other people have been dealing with remote teams. Have your teams been remote, or have they been in the same office? Okay.
Yes, you are you are right. But even in my earliest opportunity, I was living in Chicago and I had teams in Boston and then in the UK. With the volunteer organization, just the nature of it, we are all remote. I've personally worked from home for over 10 years now because of the sales aspect of it and the industry that we serve. And then now my team, I sit in my office of one.
Nice. So in terms of your leadership career, I know there are so many things that kind of can trip leaders up on a day-to-day basis. What would you say has been maybe what are some of the biggest challenges you faced so far as a leader?
For sure, leading through ambiguity. That's a big one. Being able to look for signals, establish timelines, create the milestones that you want, like measuring the KPIs, understanding how to interpret imperfect data. That's another big one. And then really too, we are dealing with humans. So just taking the time to reflect and be compassionate, and leading with that first.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you say leading or looking for the signals, or identifying signals, what do you mean by that?
I think it has to do, what I mean by it is with relating to leading through ambiguity and looking for signals that, are you moving the dial left or are you moving the dial right? And what is contributing to your decision to push one way or to push another? And that might be pushing your team, and that might be pushing upstream to your management or executive team. And so it's really just looking for the key identifiable attributes, or the signals, I call them, in order to understand what you're basing your decision on and what's in the best interest of your team and or the business itself.
Got it. Makes sense. And then just to kind of set up the conversation, just so people know, what is the Women in Localization group? What do you do, or what does that organization do?
So great question, Michelle. Women in Localization is a global community for the advancement of women in the localization industry, and that's the industry in which I serve.
Got it. Thank you so much. And I know we are planning to talk about motivating your teams. And I'm really excited to talk about this with you, especially if you have been leading remote teams and you know the challenges of motivating teams remotely. And I know a lot of people have been kind of faced with that in the last couple of years, but I don't think they still really have a grasp on the best way to approach things. And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be kind of a temporary situation. So they were just kind of trying to get through and thoughts that it was going to get back to normal. So I'm excited to have that perspective on the virtual aspect of motivating. So overall, how do you describe, or how would you say you motivate your teams at a very high level?
That's a great question. And I don't have all the answers, but what I do is I ask them what motivates them. And I check in with them on that particular topic, maybe every 6 months, because some people truly are, especially in a sales world, motivated by money, and other people truly are not motivated by money, as just one example, right? And so instead of implying that you, the leader, knows what's going to motivate them based on conversations you've had or things you've read about them, their bio, the interview you've had, I do truly find, this is actually an exercise we recently did where I said, in your own words, right? And they came back with paragraphs, they came back with bullets, but I said, what motivates you? And by asking them what motivates them, I'm then able to tap into that in order to try to drive forward results for the business. And that's my number one tip, and it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And just kind of thinking through the logistics of that. So when you say you ask them every 6 months, it sounds like, do you reach out by email? Do you Do you have set meetings that you have with them every 6 months and you initiate that conversation? Like, what is the process that you go through?
That's a great question, because obviously I'm meeting with my team one-to-one weekly. We're meeting as a team weekly, right? In this case, I often use email as a launching point. I'll mention it in one of our team meetings. Hey, I'll be sending this information around to gather your feedback. And then I do send it on email because people are often, their guard is let down if they're responding to an email versus being asked on the fly without warning, with or without warning. And so I do find that it's so fascinating, the answers you get back, because it really, you think you know somebody and what motivates them is their cat. And that's fine, right? But you get answers from all throughout the spectrum, from religious answers, again, to financial answers, to family answers, to on-the-job answers, to specifics about like maybe where they're trying to go or holes they're trying to dig out of. I do find it's innate for people to respond in terms of like what they think the other person wants to hear. That's why I do follow the email request up with a phone call to talk through their motivation triggers, so that we're clear, because it isn't what I want to hear or what I think is best for them. It's really like what motivates you so that I can help you do your job better.
Got it. And then how do you interpret those answers? So I know this is a silly example, but if their motivation is their cat, I mean, how do you follow up with that and say, okay, how do I think about this? And maybe you have a better example than the cat. How do I follow up with this to say, well, how can I use this to then motivate them and keep them engaged in their position?
I would also just say asking them, it really does come back to the cat. Like, this is a great example, because it doesn't matter what that arbitrary thing is for you. It's something that motivates them. One of my direct reports, I don't think she would mind me mentioning that she actually does have a dog. And this has nothing to do with her, but like, now that we mention it, right, she does have a dog, and we talk about her dog all the time. So sometimes it's simply about connecting to your individual report about what really is important to them in their life. Because we ask the question, what motivates you? But what we're really trying to figure out is like, what is that thing? Do you have kids or not? Pets or not? Are you motivated by a project you're trying, like a bathroom remodel that you want to do, right? Like, what is that thing that's driving you to show up every single day, day after day, to work? Because like, there is that whole, and I think we'll talk about it, the work-life balance, avoiding burnout, right? And like the rah-rahs around team events, etc. But it really does say what's important to you as a person, so that when I'm connecting with you on a human level, I make sure to talk about your kids or your dog or that bathroom project that you're trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess it's kind of a job as a leader to interpret that, and not only talking about the dog and asking how the dog is or the family is, but also knowing that, okay, their dog is important to them. So if they're, I don't know, traveling or whatever, like you need to be wary of their impact that's going to have on them and the dog, and like trying to find a place for the dog to stay. Or if they have, maybe not in your situation, but like a 9 to 5 where, they have to be home at a certain time to take care of the dog, or maybe even have to go to lunch. And it's just, I imagine understanding that situation so you can give them the flexibility to be able to care for the dog.
Yeah, right. I see more and more dogs going to like a school during the day, right? And so having the flexibility to leave house, because even though we work from home, that doesn't mean that we have to be chained to our desk, right? Like, there is still that water cooler time that we might choose to take, talking to other colleagues, having happy hours, or going out on a walk, or going to take your dog somewhere, for example, or whatever the case is. There is a delicate balance, or there is a very important balance as it relates to work life as a motivating factor. Because
in our building we have a doggy daycare, so it's always interesting to walk down when they have all the dogs out in the dog run area, and there's one guy sitting there and all the dogs are having so much fun running around. It's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
So if you don't, I'd love to talk about specific situations of motivating. Like one of the questions I get a lot is about burnout, and not only people feeling burnout, but leaders or new managers understanding that their team is feeling burnt out and asking like, what do I do? Like, how do I help them, relieve them of that burnout or move, through it? Do you have any kind of thoughts around how to motivate somebody that is feeling burnout?
I'm glad you asked the question on burnout because burnout is real, right? Zoom fatigue is real. And the first thing I think it's important to do with anything, especially burnout, is to find what the root cause is. So they might be burnt out because they're attending very early calls in the workday where typically their day isn't required to be starting before 8 a.m., but now they're sitting on 7 a.m. calls, and it's not an exception. It's becoming the rule. So if that's the thing or whatever it is, really find out what the root cause is, and then come back and ask them, like, where is right now for you the work-life balance? Or is your burnout related to working toward a promotion that hasn't come yet? In the first example of 7 a.m. calls, I know when my kids, which are still only 4 and 2, right? When they were even smaller, I had a firm block on my calendar that said, please do not book, smiley face. And that was until 6, 7, 8 a.m. So I really, because of the season of life I was in, I could not physically take calls before 8 a.m. My client knew it, my boss knew it, my colleagues knew it. And the exceptions to that rule, because my why was really important and the balance was a very hard line in the sand, I probably made one exception to that rule in a 2-year period. I was just very I will catch the meeting later. I will watch the replay. I will listen to the recording, especially if it was internal. It was a non-starter for me. But that's because that was very important to me. But now I'm able to coach and help others to understand, even if that isn't your season in life, you're still allowed to not take 7 a.m. calls 5 days a week, every week, because that too will create burnout. And even though there's the opposite end of that was whoa, let's just stop your day early. Right? It's still not enough for some people and that's acceptable, right? Because it's just hard to be motivated to work at 7 a.m. or start to feel like it's an exception or expectation, right? Mm-hmm. On the other side of it, when I say if they're working toward a promotion that hasn't come yet, really the ultimate question is are you the leader and that individual contributor, are you mutually working toward it? Or is that just a frustration now that has surfaced from the person? And if so, the first step is to outline what that promotion might look like and the goals required to achieve the promotion in order to align the objectives. And we always look at SMART goals being specific, measurable, right, actionable, realistic, with timeframes around them. And so it's a little bit about what are the goals needed to achieve that promotion, and then what are the timelines associated for it? Is that realistic? But it's also asking yourself as the leader, is what can the organization do to help? In either case, right? So whether you're dealing with 7 a.m. calls recurring and you don't feel like you can suck yourself out of it because you don't have the 2-year-old and an infant at home, well, my reason isn't good enough. There's always a good enough reason to not have 7 a.m. calls. And what can the organization do to support them? And the same is true on the other example where it's they want to work toward a promotion. What can the organization do to help? And I think that you as the leader going back to management and making sure that HR, is there HR resources that they need? Is there executive level support that they need? Could they benefit from a mentor outside of your team? Could you help connect them to different people? Sometimes I find a lot of times, people just want to be heard. Mm-hmm. So it's just coming back to helping to avoid the burnout. I don't think at the end of the day, like I said, burnout is real. And once you get to the root cause of it, then are you doing everything you can to help support and drive that forward?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for providing details for both of those situations. I'm curious, so one thing, as in, a lot of the people that follow Bosstrack are new leaders. So they are recently in that individual contributor position. So they know what it's like and can have empathy for that person. And it's understanding now that you're the leader, that it's in your hands to actually do something about that. And you've provided great advice on how to help them through that. I know one of the things with newer leaders is they might not feel confident enough to be able to push back on their leadership. Like if it's the 7 a.m. call and they're being asked to provide the resources on that 7 a.m. call. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice for those new leaders on how to kind of push back or feel confident to kind of talk about or, represent their team?
That's a good question. I mean, ultimately, I do think it comes down to the confidence of the leader, and that's a muscle that we have to train and grow over time.
Yeah.
But if there's an issue, like to me, that then becomes an issue if the business is pushing, if it's your business that's pushing those 7 a.m. agendas versus like a client in a sales perspective, like a client pushing, because it's two totally different things.
Right.
The one I would truly say, and it's obvious to me, but might not be to the new leaders, is get your, consult with your HR representative and just understand why these 7 a.m. calls are happening for your teammates. I work and have worked my whole career in a truly global workplace and environment where I can imagine if all the teammates are in one time zone, you wouldn't have that issue anyway. Mm-hmm. And then there is like globally cultural, I don't want to say norms, but it is more common for people in Europe and other parts of the world to work later because they start their day much later. Whereas in the US, we typically start very early for them, which is like 8 a.m., right? So just being conscious as a leader, as high up as you might be, of depending on if it's an internal call, who is the audience that's on that call and what is acceptable for the business, the time zone and the timeframes, because I'm all the way on the West Coast and I've lived my professional career on the East Coast and in the Central time zone. It actually feels heavy being out here, but I've been out here so long now because it is harder. It's harder to have calls with Europe in a normal time frame. All of my 8:30 a.m. time blocks are with them if I need to, because it's their end of day, right?
Yeah.
So that's a delicate balance if it's an internal meeting and making sure that if at the end of the day you have to have a 7:30 a.m. call sometimes in the West Coast, that you're counterbalancing that with having like a 5:30 call in Europe, because without speaking out of turn, truthfully, those times, are kind of acceptable, right? But you're still like, what? It's a long answer, but, consulting with the right people internally. But I do think it's a matter of having confidence as a leader to say, like, this doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And like, can I understand why? And then what is that decision?
Got it. No, that's a perfect answer. Thank you. And it wasn't too long. So switching over to, what about a teammate that's bored? Because I've definitely run into situations where somebody has been in their position and has it all figured out, and it's just become like a day-to-day thing and nothing's moving in their career and they just become bored in their situation. Like, what do you do to motivate those people on your team?
I love this question because I actually proactively help to manage against this. Now, it's not possible to eliminate burnout or eliminate boredom, right? Mm-hmm. But it is true that, especially as you've been in the job longer and longer and longer, and if you don't want to get promoted or have career ambitions to like climb the ladder, it's perfectly okay to stay in your lane. But it still means that you want your brain firing on all cylinders. So my best advice to my entire team is to have a passion project within your role. Something that, when accomplished, will greatly increase your job satisfaction. You might get kudos from the executive team. You might get recognition. You might win an unexpected reward for doing something that actually directly contributes to your happiness, but at the same time contributes to your bottom line or the business's. So it will increase your job satisfaction, this passion project. And your career ambitions. So it will push you slightly beyond your role so that you're inspired every day to do hard things, because it is hard to show up to work every day and just keep grinding, right?
Yeah.
So if you ask my team, I have a few quotes that I often say, and a couple of them would apply here, which is like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So what I mean is, like, you can say, like, here's a passion project, or let's talk about a passion project. And you can suggest, because they're like, I don't know what to do. You look at them individually, you understand what motivates them, and you say, great, get involved in this industry organization, or start a podcast or a video blog series or a newsletter, or, you know, it could be anything that adds to your personal brand and or to the business, right, within your role. But you can't physically assign that passion project to them, because they have to innately have the passion and the desire to want to carry that through. So it's a conversation that's really important to have. Say, this is a great idea. And then once you start having team members that have completed their passion projects, you can refer to them as an example of, you know, this is what that person did, and this is where they saw success, as to not say that this person needs to do the same thing, but ultimately, let's think about ideas that might connect with you. And then the other quote I do have, you know, it's pretty common also, is dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So this passion project can really tie into that. It can help you up level yourself, right? It can help to demonstrate to other leaders in the organization that you yourself, as the individual contributor, that like you might have leadership aspirations, and or that you're a team player, that you're cross-functionally engaging. So I think there's like there's like a million byproducts of this passion project that help even non-board teammates.
Yeah.
But if you have a board teammate, I would start there, and proactively, I would, you know, start with asking your team what motivates them on the one hand, kind of like we talked about earlier, and then also figuring out how this passion project concept could run through your team.
Yeah. And I like that you said they have to be the one to say that they're all in and they want to do that passion project, because I'm thinking about, you know, you see a lot on social media now where people really are just like, I want to give my 9 to 5. I don't want to do anything beyond. This is my job description. You know, I shouldn't be asked to do anything beyond my job description. So I feel like that, just that little comment really relates to that, because there are going to be people that might not, you know, a passion project to you might seem, you know, this is the best thing for you. It's going to motivate you. You're not going to be bored anymore. But at the same time, if they come into it with as you know, starting with a negative mindset, that's just not, it kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I know this is kind of probably a very sensitive topic right now with what's going on, but I think it's worth asking. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, but I know like with the tech industry, there's just a lot of layoffs recently, like thousands of people let go. And then the people that are left there are wondering, like, am I next? Like, is my position safe? Like, do you have any thoughts on how to keep those team members motivated and their spirits up when it's not maybe you, but the company that is, you know, pushing through these layoffs?
Well, I think if it's okay, and I draw an analogy, which, you know, in all cases it's bad, but it's the COVID was bad. The war was bad. The recession was bad. The layoffs are bad. So for me, it would be like, it's been very what's that word? It's been very challenging for several years, right? And it's been very hard on businesses in general. So whether it's a tech layoff today, laying off for X reason, or 3 years ago, laying off for other reasons because of the pandemic, I think that ultimately, as a leader, it's your responsibility to ensure that you're reporting consistently to the team on their performance and their abilities. I see so many incredible leaders right now in this whole like period of layoffs, putting blog posts out there, putting resources out there for people, because often you're seeing, even in the pandemic, that the layoffs aren't personal. right? And that they're mass layoffs. And so it's just impacting people blindly. And those people are still individuals who have skill sets that are transferable. And they really have like the ability to go off and do something better or something else. And they're very hireable. It's not like they were fired for lack of performance in that case.
Right.
So while it's a very delicate topic and one that I don't have personal experience in, what I see is a lot of leaders who are working for companies like that and or who do have experience, they're stepping up to offer resources, to provide just like mindset, like these leaders are providing guidance, right? And that's really, really empowering. I think even for me watching from the outside to know that, okay, if that happened to me, if that happened to my team, like there is a way through.
Yeah.
But it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah. I like that because that's something that I've taught my leaders as well. Even when it's not a mass layoff, if there's somebody that you are counseling because they're not performing well in a position, if you're leading them right, I mean, you know what their skills are and you know what their skills aren't, and you know what's working and what might not be working. And if you get to the point where you do have to kind of coach somebody out of an organization as a leader, I feel like it's just your responsibility, if you can. I mean, I know a lot of people are in a position where they can't, but to kind of help them, at least guide them to their next step. And, a lot of people aren't open to that because they leave feeling like they're leaving under bad circumstances. But it shouldn't be a surprise, for one, if you've done everything. And if you're doing it right, you should be able to like guide them and mentor them to their next career and provide that support as well. So I think that applies really for any time. And I know it's hard if it's thousands of people, you can't really provide that, but you can use your voice, like you said, to reach out to your network on social media and promote them and try to find them the resources and, their next home. So I completely agree.
And you summarized it nicely.
Yeah. So now I feel like we're going from a serious thing to a not so serious thing. But here's another thing that, I see a lot of influencers on social media talking about, and that's like, don't give me a pizza party. Don't give me a happy hour. Don't make me stay an hour later and drink with everybody. I spend all day with you. If you want to motivate me, give me money. Like, what is your thought on pizza parties, happy hours, and team building exercises? And maybe each one of those is different, and you maybe have a thought different, or a thought that,
It's interesting, right? Because I come from a sales perspective. And I am motivated by money, but at the same time, having grown up like in the city of Chicago in my early professional career, where we always went to happy hour, but not because we had to, because we wanted to. And this is like 2005, 2006. So the world was just totally different. But I think there's always a balance with doing something like that, and whatever that looks like for you. Right now, my team does virtually get together once a month for a happy hour. And we have to break a little early because of the West Coasters and not have to keep the East Coasters who are dads and have other lives like away from, family obligations and such. But so we have to find a common ground to do that. But another option is to send for the business to like buy everybody lunch that day. Because if you're remote, that works, right? If you're in an office, why have something after hour when you could have a pizza party? But also, because I'm in sales and a spiff is pretty like common way to compensate people for running contests. The same person who might not want to stay late and go to happy hour or enjoy a pizza party might also not be motivated by a contest. So my perspective truly comes from, as salespeople, most people are competitive in sales and they love a contest without any reward, let alone with like a $50 gift card, which can seem, very insignificant to the business to spend, but it really can feel meaningful for the person to receive. Last year, we even did a contest where somebody won $750. There was like a total, spend of $1,000. So we split it up between two different contests. So it really just kind of depends on like what I like to do and then I guess to take this kind of a little off track, but we have culture nodes. So our whole organization is kind of rooted in one or two culture nodes, like adjectives that define what the business is trying to do to move forward. And we got together as a team and started throwing out adjectives around what really defines us as a team within the organization. Like, how do we define our micro culture? And we came up with tons of adjectives, a lot that meant the same thing. And so ultimately we came across collaborative, accountable, responsive, and transparent. And we put them together in that order because they spell the word cart. And then for my team event recently, I gave them shopping carts. We got them on our desk, but that's like a whole year in the making, because this is something that's very insignificant. But whenever we're talking to each other as a team, we say, hey, I'll be transparent with you and say this, or I'm going to be hyper responsive to responding to this email from this, no matter what it is, because that's something that's now rooted in me. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to collaborate with others. And so in the spirit of CART, for my team and the microculture that we've created, we like the happy hours. We like when the business buys us lunch randomly, for doing something above and beyond, and or just for a team event. And we like those contests to motivate us. But I do know that depending on your operations, if you're engineering, if you're IT, if you're marketing, what that looks like might be a little bit different. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, if you're a team of a lot, if you're a leader of a lot of teams, it probably looks different for individual teams. And if you're an individual team manager, then it's just kind of like, know your team, know what motivates them, and then try to you're never going to please everybody. Right. But yeah.
No, I love that. And I love that. And so the cart came from, that's just your team specifically? Okay, nice.
Yes. And so they all, it was beautiful the way it kind of created itself, because I didn't force any adjectives down my team. I contributed to suggestions just like they did. And then ultimately we picked the 4 is, 3 to 5 is a good number of things to root yourself in. Any more than that, it's just too many. And then somebody else on the team put them in order of CART. So.
Oh, love it. I love it. And I love that fits into being able to give something that people can physically see. So being remote and having your team be remote, what do you do that encourages team, like the feeling of team, so that maybe, if everybody is working in different places and they're not necessarily, they might be kind of working together individually on a one-off basis. How do you get them to be a cohesive team, leading to being able to get through an effort like that and creating that cart?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for us, take advantage of the technology that exists today and don't worry about what didn't exist before. So Teams, Zoom, any platform you call it, right? We have the ability now to connect face to face. We have an unspoken policy that just show up as you are. So there is no dress code. Speaking to a client, you might, it's innate, right? They know they're gonna change out of their ripped jeans, although nobody sees your blue jeans anyway. But you understand the analogy, right? Yeah. But it really is clients are showing up as they are anyway. So in one-to-one within the team, we use video almost exclusively now. And then from there, we also use Teams. So we use video Teams, and then we use the chat. And we started a team chat to be both about personal. Somebody from my team this morning shared that her daughter received a second scholarship from a university as she's applying to schools for the next year. Right. And then we use the team chat to ask questions about whatever is we have going on as it relates to business. So the team chat is both personal and business kind of tied into one. And that's our team. We also agreed on a name for our team chat. And that's what it's called. And so there are little things, but I do think it is the little things. I'll never forget that when and I shouldn't say this because I don't do this yet, I'll say, but when I joined one of the companies, and she's one of my best mentors, right? She hired me to work for her, and she sent me a huge bouquet of flowers to start. And she lived in Colorado and I lived in Florida, and it was just something that's super meaningful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the little things like that, I think, that no matter if you're face-to-face or virtual, that really make the difference. And so I'd say it's nothing, just continue to do the little things.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a perfect advice. And I think, yeah, I mean, if people can kind of think through, like if they just came onto a company and to like just have flowers delivered to them, like how would that make them feel?
Yeah. What we do now is like, or the marketing team can send a box, right? Like there's a lot of ways to do it.
Right. Yeah, and it should be more than just maybe like a coffee mug. That seems like the typical welcome to the company. Here's your coffee mug.
Yeah.
So do you have anything more to say about motivation? Because I'd like to switch over to kind of some of your more specific individual experiences.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Okay, great. What is one thing that you wish you would have known when you first became a leader?
Well, this goes back to what we spoke at the beginning with leading through ambiguity, leading beyond your role, and also like that the concept of being proactive. But to me, it all comes also back down to the confidence. So having the confidence to fail forward, you have to be willing to make very tough decisions that impact people with outcomes that they don't always agree with. And it's fully embracing ownership and accountability, being self-aware, and again, in no particular order, but also really relevant would be to ask for help. So there's so much I don't know, and I am not afraid to raise my hand and ask a question and seek clarification again if I still don't understand.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I think that is something that I think, well, it's not just new leaders, but even experienced leaders, like I think it maybe even gets worse when you're an experienced leader, because then you start to feel like, well, I should know this. I've been doing this for how long, and now I can't ask because I should already know. But it's not, you need to ask. Like it's in everybody's benefit for you to ask the question, and it's okay.
Yeah, my other saying is always ask one more question. So.
Yes, yeah. I love that. I love that you have sayings. I wish I had sayings that I could refer to. Did you have a mentor in your career that you can look back to and attribute your success or growth to?
I think the key with mentors is always having them, right? So I've been blessed with incredible mentors. My current CEO is a mentor. My former boss's boss, another mentor. Powerful women. Because of the Women in Localization organization, I'm blessed with incredible leaders from across tech that are my mentors. But if I had to name one woman, it would be a woman for me. If I had to name one woman in particular, her name is Allison McDougall, and she was first a business development manager when I was inside sales. And so I learned how to sell under her, and she moved to another company in our industry to become a vice president. She flew me in for an interview, which started and ended with a hug. And then she became my boss for 6 years. And while we are on different life stages, I've met her mom. Yeah, and we have a lot in common. We are both very career driven. We are moms. We're both yoga instructors, like in our free time. And she's someone I can still call for advice. So I think for me is that I continue to find more mentors, and I can move on from certain mentor-mentee relationships when they have run their course. And then others like Allison, they have evolved as the years passed. So I think, mentors, like find a mentor.
Yeah. And I love that you made the comment that you can have a mentor, and that mentor doesn't need to be your mentor forever, because sometimes you grow out of that mentor relationship, and it's okay. But you always want to have somebody that is really guiding you to that next level.
of organizations have an official mentor-mentee program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because if it is, you're often paired with somebody on the total opposite side of the business that you wouldn't normally interact with. And there's certain expectations when you're being mentored that you kind of, you honor and respect their time.
Yeah.
And it's a formal situation. Sometimes a mentor-mentee relationship is one session. Sometimes it's a series of X, and other times it becomes a lifelong relationship like I have with Allison. So understanding also that oh my gosh, like I had this one powerful session, but then that was it. Like that's good enough, right?
Yeah.
Served its purpose.
Oh yeah, exactly. I've definitely had my share of those people that I can attribute particular success to, and I've only ever spent 15 minutes with them. So it's
Yes.
yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Is there, I know you said you're a yoga instructor, but also a mom of very young kids. Is there one routine that you have throughout the day that helps you maintain your well-being, your sanity, your peace of mind that you attribute that to?
Well, it depends on the season. Right now, like what I do is when they come home from school, as humbling as it is for whatever I have going on, and my whole team very much respects it, right? And we're in preschool, which is great. Preschool's until 6.
Yeah.
We pick them up at like 5. So I break off from work as soon as the kids come home at 5 or whatever that time is to be with them, right? And that's because I'm just in the season where my kids are 4 and 2. They're in preschool all day. The hours with them are so short for like an hour in the morning and like 2 hours at night. And I'm just very grateful for the flexibility to be all in with them, because that refills my cup. And then another thing that we do, again, because I'm in this awkward season of motherhood, being young and like driven professionally, is my husband and I each get one weeknight to be away from the kids, which is just huge. It's great for the parent that's left with the kids. It's great for the children to be like developmentally like dependent on somebody else for the evening. So that parent picks them up. They do dinner, they do bath, they do bed, and the other parent does what they want, right? My husband will go to a basketball game. I will sit here and work or go to bunco. And it's kind of like, it's that it allows us to start to regain some of that, and that's the well-being that we're in right now. Sometimes I do actually also go to yoga, but I'm not teaching right now because there's just no time. Like when my kids are older and they're in high school, like I can't even imagine a life, right? Where my sister has kids who are driving themselves already, and like, they don't want you or need you. And then you have all the time in the world to do other things while you're worrying about what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So that I was like, wow, when you said you're a yoga instructor and you have 2 such young kids and, VP of sales, I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of balancing there. That's,
Well, you can edit it out if you want, but it's actually for me, it's a fun story. When I was pregnant with my first, I was doing yoga, and it was easy because I didn't have kids, right?
Yeah.
And I took a yoga teacher training while I was pregnant, which is a 20-week training. Yeah. So in my 20 weeks, so half of my pregnancy, I was in this yoga teacher training, which ultimately just humbled me, because I was pretty competitive in the yoga room against myself and against others. And I could barely be in child's pose. And my child's pose looks different than it ever did. But that's how I would actually spend most of my time practicing, was in child's pose.
Yeah.
And that was just like, whoa, for me. But yeah, it's just something that was, for me, I always wanted to do, and it was fun to do at that time, but people are like, you're crazy.
Well, but it actually sounds like a great time to do it, to be pregnant. Like it says for your wellness and health and your pregnancy. And it'd be interesting, if you compare the benefits to whichever child it was that you had when you were going through that, if there was anything any kind of effect on them. I don't know how you would do that, but
well, the one, this is just interesting for me, but one of the teachers, 2 of the teachers I became friends with later. One of them went to school. Our kids go to school together. And then the other one has young kids also. And whenever we're around Siri, like my oldest one, like it's really weird, but we both see it. He's just drawn to her. And we don't know if it's because he spent all that time in my belly while I was in training, like learning from her.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
sure it is. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um,
Yeah.
well, do you have when you're feeling maybe like less confident for the day or kind of drained, is there a song that you'll put on that'll kind of be your pick me up or give you that boost of confidence for the day?
For me, it is Van Morrison's Days Like This. I don't
Wow.
know what that song does. So it's not like some hard rock. It's not like, I think song that typically people would think of, like, oh, let me put this on at the gym and like get all pumped. But like I would run to I don't run right now, but I could run to this. I could work out to this. I listen to it a lot at my desk. I listen to it on my nights off with the windows down in the car. So yeah, everybody should check that out.
I
It's
love it. Yeah, definitely. I will definitely check that out. And then improving quality of lives. So making lives easier. We're, at Bosstrack, we really try to support well-being, which is kind of what we've been talking about. Is there something that you've bought in the last year or two that it's like around $100 that you have like it's kind of changed your life or the way you do things or has really made things easier for you?
This is a really hard question for me to answer in general, like, because I feel like there's so much. And then with like the ability to buy on Instagram and like
Yeah.
all the social media platforms, it just is like, I bought all the things for my hair and I bought when I thought about this question, it's not $100, it's eight.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I found has really helped it's this argan oil from Trader Joe's. For me, is like I was on a work trip in Minneapolis and my skin was super dry and I didn't know what I was looking for, but there was a Trader Joe's next to my hotel and I walked in and I saw this thing and I was able to just like use it and implement it immediately. And through my meetings, I was able to put the oil on my face without it looking oily. It would just like seep right in. And
Yeah.
I've continued to use it. And now I use it so much, I always have one extra because I mean, it's
Yeah.
$8. I've tried to find other comparable products on Amazon or whatever have you, but for some reason, my skin, I like it. And so that's kind of the thing, like where does the confidence come from for you as an individual? And that it's different for everybody because what motivates you is also different, right?
Hmm.
But we're on camera all day and we are like looking at ourselves all day. And so, and I am not getting any younger, right? And those wrinkles really do come out. So for me, this was a simple product that actually has helped to transform the way I feel about my face and my hair and my skin and my nails, has helped my eyelashes grow. And that all aids to my confidence, as surface level as that is, which then helps to just make me show up my best self
Yeah.
and be a really good leader that day. So
Yeah, I love it. And I don't think our audience is going to mind you recommending something that's $8. It's amazing that it does all that. Now, it's funny, my husband uses that and he has recommended a few times. And I'm like, oh, I have my stuff that I use. So maybe I'll have to try it out.
yeah, yeah, we talk about that offline.
Yeah. Do you have a book that you've read recently that you felt was something that you would recommend to people to read, or maybe a podcast that you listen to that is something that helps you in business or in life? It could be fiction, nonfiction.
Well, in addition to this podcast, so everybody should make sure that they're subscribed and tuning in regularly to what you release.
Thank you.
Yes, I love Marie Forleo
Mhm.
from a podcast. And then the
Yes.
book that I keep recommending to people is The Challenger Sale. So again, in the theme of like, I come from sales, this is a book that outlines 5 common characteristics of typical salespeople, like what's innate in you versus what is a sales persona that actually will help you win more business. And so I have read a lot of books, business books over the course of time, but the Challenger Sale is something that I keep coming back to. And it's really fascinating if you're in sales to pick up a copy.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that recommendation. So I know we're coming up on the hour. Is there anything, well, 2 things. One is there anything that you would like to share that we haven't covered to kind of close things out? And then also, if any of the listeners wanted to reach out to you, like what is the best way for them? Is it okay for them to do that? And what is the best way?
Yes, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for asking. And I have a newsletter now on LinkedIn around outcomes-based leadership. So I release about once a week. And that would be great if they subscribed. But I think for me, it was a really just useful and productive hour to talk about some of like the benefits and opportunities of leading a team and motivating a team, right, as it relates to their own personal desires and what's most important for the business and what outcomes you're trying to drive forward, right? And everybody is individual and unique. And so just remembering to lead with empathy and compassion, because it is, we are leading humans, not robots, thankfully. And it's important to connect with everybody on a one-to-one individual level. And whether it's the pizza party or an Amazon gift card, just understanding kind of like how you can keep driving results forward.
Yeah, love that. Yes, everybody's different. Yeah. Just for people that are only listening, do you know your LinkedIn handle? Is it your name or?
My LinkedIn handle is Mrs. Kristin Gutierrez.
Okay.
So it's Kristin with an I, Gutierrez. You'll put my spelling in the podcast.
Yes,
So
definitely.
It's Mrs. Kristin Gutierrez.
Okay, perfect. And I'll share that in the show notes and all of that. But just for people that might be listening, I know it's sometimes difficult to, especially if they're not going to see your face, like have your search results come up with 15 different people the same name. You're like, oh my God, which one is it? So thank you for that. Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you getting on and spending this hour with me. This has been such great advice and something that I think is that listeners can easily take back with them and apply, and it can make a world of difference to their leadership experience. I appreciate the insight and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, enjoy the rest of your day. I guess it's a little bit early there for you, so have a great day, and I will hopefully be talking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Michelle.
All right,
Bye.
great. Bye. Hi, everyone. This is Michelle again. Just one more thing before you take off. If you've enjoyed this podcast, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Bosstrack or sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It's easy to sign up and easy to cancel. Every Monday, we send out a short, exclusive newsletter of what we found during the week that we're excited about, we're inspired by, and we're watching and reading. If you'd like to check it out, just to go to thebosstrack.com/newsletter. Just type that into your browser, thebosstrack.com/newsletter. Drop in your email and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening.